Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. I'm Brian. This is my kitchen, although sometimes we come from other places. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad you found me. If you're returning to my channel, I'm really glad you found me. I'm glad you came back. Sorry. Right now I'm in the middle of cooking a late supper. But if you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Thumbs up, thumbs down are always an option, but not necessary. And comments, always welcomed. Always. The only thing I ask is keep them nice, respectful. You don't have to necessarily agree with everything I say, but at least think before you speak. Our small community here is different ages, nationalities. We kind of come from everywhere, and we try to promote being a good neighbor. So, and that's part of being a good neighbor. You can have a disagreement, just be civil about it. Or not agree with me, or anybody for that matter. Just be civil in your response. Think before you speak. So that being said, the purpose of my channel is just to kind of document me. Tuesdays, which is today, even though it's late, we just kind of hang out and talk. And Wednesdays, we usually cook, bake, we do all kinds of stuff. Like I said, I'm just documenting me, and hoping you guys come along for the ride. But yeah, today it's been kind of interesting. Tuesdays have been kind of wonky. I work in a restaurant, and my schedule has changed a little on Tuesdays. I used to work in the evenings so I could film in the mornings. But lately, been working all day. It's the holidays. Busy, busy, busy in the restaurant. And got off work today at around 3:30, and put in 9 hours. And then went to the grocery store, picked up a couple weeks worth of groceries. It's never a whole lot. We have, if you watch some of my past videos, we've got pretty much a grocery store in the basement. We are unofficially preppers, so to speak. But I've had some things running through my head over the last couple days. One of them, which I touched on in another video, was turning 50 and what all it entails getting older. And most of it just seems to be trips to the doctor. I do since I've turned 50, I've made a half a dozen trips to the doctor, and that's only been in the last 6-7 months. And part of it, majority of it, was my ADHD. I had I've had ADHD all my life that I'm aware of, but for probably 30 years of my life, I self-medicated with natural herbal supplement to keep that in check. Basically, I was a pothead for decades. And about 5 years ago, I decided it was time to quit all that shenanigans. And so I quit getting stoned. I quit smoking cigarettes. I still vape. That is one of my New Year's resolutions I have not managed to kick yet. Although I did quit smoking cigarettes, I quit drinking. For the most part, I still have a beer or a glass of something occasionally, maybe a couple times a year. And I quit getting stoned. I quit using drugs of any kind that aren't prescribed to me. Now, that being said, being a pothead, I'm fairly well educated, and I don't buy that's a gateway drug, because I've never had a desire to try any other drug. I think your personality kind of chooses what you use. But anyhow, that's a different topic for a different time, and I'm sure there's a million people that'll disagree with me on that. But one of the other things I did when I turned 50, and this was kind of important. You'll find when you're younger, you don't think doctors and tests and all that are, necessary, but they are. When I turned 50, it was recommended that I had a colonoscopy done. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's basically they put a camera inside of you and look at your intestines and your colon. And what they're looking for is cancerous growth, or even non-cancerous growth, just growth in general. Sorry, I'm busy making potatoes while we talk. We got to eat. And Chris got to eat. Kids already fended for themselves because I wasn't sure what I was cooking and they didn't want to wait. So when I'm frying these up in bacon grease, and I'll put potatoes over top of that. But anyhow, colonoscopy. So they run a camera through like I said, your intestines and then up into your colon. And at the age of 50, more inclined to get colon cancer, and colon cancer is huge for killing men. I mean, women can get it too, so don't think, well, I'm not a guy, so I don't have to worry. It's still something to keep in the back of your head, and you should be checked with. And it was rather important to us. My family is heavy in the cancer department, and Chris, my wife, if you don't know, she's my wife, Chris. We just lost her brother, a year ago to colon cancer, and he was in his 40s. And it's a slow cancer. So if cancer is in your family, maybe you want to start early looking at that. But when they did mine, they found a handful of what's called polyps, and they're like seeds, basically, for lack of a better word, or at least a common word. And a few of the ones they found in me were cancerous. They hadn't formed to the cancerous state yet, but they were a type of polyp that forms to be cancerous. So we caught it early, way early. That's good. Now, what does that mean? That means I have to go back and have it checked every 3 years instead of 5 years. It's not painful. It doesn't hurt, and if you have insurance, it doesn't even cost you a lot of money, which is kind of nice. But you got to have insurance. That is a whole different topic for a different time. So even when you're young, it's important to kind of go see your doctor. I know before I turned 50, I went and saw my doctor like twice a year. And that was just for my routine physical, a flu shot, and then I would have to have a medicine check for my blood pressure medicine. And even that, after taking it for, I've probably been on that for 12 years, even that was far and few between. So it wasn't important. And then all of a sudden I turned 50, and I see my doctor almost as much as I'm at the doctor's office seeing doctors and nurse practitioners almost as much as I see my wife and kids. At least it feels that way. So it's important. Take care of it. Another thing I was thinking about, and this is like what I call a beginning thought. I'm putting thought into my thought, but it's literally been like a couple days, and it all stems from another thought I had, which was Republicans. I'm a registered Democrat, even though I'm a moderate. I lean more towards the Democratic side, but the one of the main principles behind the Republican Party is little federal government in your life. Okay, and I believe that to some extent. I think overreach and too much government can be a bad thing at times. Now, in the time of Lincoln, the roles were kind of even, a Republican acted more like a Democrat does now, and a Democrat acted more like a Republican does now. If you don't believe me, go look at your history books. Which is why you'll hear some former presidents compare themselves to Lincoln when it comes to equality. Because Lincoln was a Republican, and their beliefs were a little different than they are now. But I was thinking about the limit of federal government. Hold on for me 1 second. I got to get a lid for this pan. Sorry, if you're new to my channel, most of my kitchen stuff is in the dining room. This is literally my kitchen. But anyhow, I was thinking about the limit of government. What could we live without with our federal government? Let's say we, decided we were going to get rid of our federal government and we were just going to let the states run altogether, which in some aspects I'm for. And this is just a thought, and I would really like to see some opinions on this, or even start a conversation of some sort to it. But what if we just took it down to the states, which is what most people want? Limited government, let the states control their own state, and the federal government has very little hands onto it. So what would we need to do that? What if our federal government pretty much disappeared tomorrow? So I'm thinking to myself, well, we would still have to work, and kind of take care of each other, so we would still have to pay taxes, right? So what if we dumped federal taxes, right? Because we don't need the federal government so much anymore, or lowered them a lot and used half the federal tax money and put it into state taxes. So now the states are getting more money. What can they do with that? What do we need to do? Okay, police and fire are a must, right? We still have to have laws and rules, and they have to be followed and enforced. Because unfortunately, we don't all become good neighbors automatically. Sam, come on. Sorry, Sam's outside. Sam's my dog, in case you didn't know. So we definitely need police and fire. We're gonna need people to put out fires and rescue. We're gonna need hospitals, and everyday life is still gonna go on like it does now. Although I would like to think that in this utopian world, racism's gone, social equality's gone. But let's be honest, in the entire history of mankind, that has existed. As much as we fight it, and I hope it disappears, I deep down inside, I think social equality and racism are two of the worst things in the world. And I speak about them all the time to keep awareness out there. We are a snippet society where if you quit talking about it in the social world, we forget about it altogether. But anyhow, so we need police and fire. What's another thing we need? Well, we need somebody to take care of the money. And you can say, well, that's what you got your state government for. But we're limiting it. The state government's still limited. So really all we need is an accountant. Right? We need an accounting firm. Somebody to hold responsible. That can divvy up the money for police, fire, and what else? Infrastructure. These are the three things I've come up with so far for the most part. Because we still need roads, we still need transportation to get everywhere, we still need utilities, we still need internet, and all those can be done on a state level, or even your big internet companies, we pay them so much. Well, we pay them. We pay them here. So that would eliminate any state need other than building up your infrastructure in your state for those things. And that's really, all I can think of. You could take care of the poor, but we could almost take care of the poor, on our own. Abandoned houses, abandoned buildings, let's fix them up. We could use some of that money, the infrastructure money, to fix up those houses, fix up the rundown warehouses. Lord knows there's a bunch of old broken down buildings here in this town, and let the poor live there. You can say, well, we need to feed them. Sure, so let's give them jobs. There's even in this town there's jobs. Let's charge them. Let's say we as a state decide to fix up these houses and turn some of these old abandoned warehouses and buildings into apartments or new jobs, whichever. And we charge them $500 a month to live there, and we get them jobs. Because then even a job paying $10 an hour, if you gave a couple of two a job paying $10 an hour, $500 a month rent, wow, all of a sudden they can afford to live somewhere. And we would control that with, helping to pay our taxes, or helping to pay state taxes, all of the state taxes to the accountant, who then takes care of the infrastructure, fire, and police. Infrastructure can control a lot. I think on a federal level, we spend an awful lot in the fact that we've got like 5 different branches for policing. Do we really need a CIA, an FBI, and an NSA, and all of those? That's a lot of branches that just spy, and control things on a federal level. Do we really need all that if we eliminate federal government and just have the states take care of themselves? Hunger. In the beginning, some of our money might have to go to that, food pantries, whatnot. But what if we use the old adage, take a guy fishing and fish for him, you feed him for a day, but if you teach him how to do it, he learns a trade and he can feed himself, right? So we teach people how to grow. We teach them how to grow food. We teach people how to raise chickens. Things of that, simple things. Now all of a sudden, we don't have to rely so much on food. If we teach them how to grow food and utilize it all year long, we're in good shape there. we will still need a need for grocery stores. Obviously, I mean, there's some things we can't do. Like not everybody's going to have a cow in the city that we can butcher or get milk off of. So I mean, there's still a need for those things. But what if we help them to help get our kids nutritious food? You know, I did a whole video on nutritious food and how the fact we have millions of kids who can't get a nutritious meal in our country, even though we are a rich nation, because the price of nutritional food is through the roof and poor people can't do that. Let's teach them how to grow nutritional food, how to process and can nutritional food so they have it all year long, whether it's put it in their freezer or dehydrate it or put it in a jar. All three of those things are easy to do and they're economical. You know, we don't need to have a government program that costs us money to feed kids if we teach them and their families how to feed themselves. But that takes teaching. And you know, some of the best teachers I found on YouTube. Oddly enough. And what does YouTube cost you? For the most part, nothing, if you don't mind the ads. You know, but even at most, it's whatever they charge for monthly. I personally, I'm a creator, don't use them. I don't pay a subscription. I just watch the ads. You know, but I grew up at a time when TV had ads all the time. So, you know, these are just few of the first few initial thoughts. I mean, I haven't written anything down and worked up some giant plan to bring before my government, although I should. You know, but I think that we would eliminate food deserts. You know, I know there's a part of Columbus, the Linden area that I lived in for a long time. It's a wonderful old neighborhood. I mean, it's got its problems. It's a poor neighborhood, but man, the people really get together and take care of each other. But it's a food desert. There's not a grocery store in that entire area anymore. Some of it's due to crime, you know, not due to lack of business. Most of it's just due to crime and revenue. I get it. I wouldn't want to be robbed all the time either. But what if we taught them how to start growing? What does that do? What if we taught them how to grow their own food, how to build things? What does that do? That gives them trades, feeds them, keeps kids off the streets, you know, gives families something to do together, you know, because it doesn't matter what your background is. You need to eat. You know, that's just a straight dope. Everybody likes to eat. So we teach these to our youth, and then all of a sudden we don't have food deserts anymore. We don't have people who need a home because they have a home that's affordable. Why? Because we took the old homes and made them worthy enough to live in to keep them affordable. You know, we could even down the road give them the option to buy the house that they've been renting off of the state now forever. You know, and I'm sure there would have to be guidelines, things like that, but your infrastructure department could take all of that, take care of all that. You wouldn't need 8 different people or 8 different organizations to do that we pay our tax money for, you know, separately to the state. I have learned that there's a lot of things that are redundant. There are programs that are not only funded by local groups or local governments, but also state and federal. Why not just have one? Makes sense to me, I think. Maybe I'm thinking about this all wrong. But anyhow, these were my thoughts lately. And I would really like to see, I would really like to hear other people's opinions on these, or thoughts or ideas that you may have had. But that was just my first thought on what could we do if we wanted to eliminate, you know, our federal government. Not that I want to eliminate the federal government. It's whatever. I still go to work. I still pay taxes. I still do YouTube. I mean, nothing would change in my life. But I think that could be something to look at. I mean, I personally, a little aggravated with both sides of the fence of the federal government. You know, I think there's a lot of things that need to change. And I don't think it's altogether we need to pay for everything. There's a few things I'd like to see us pay for. But for the most part, I don't think throwing money at everything is a solution. As a matter of fact, with this pandemic, for example, and I'll make this quick, but with the pandemic, what did we do? We threw a lot of money out to everybody in the public, whether they needed it or not. And when did that happen? What happened? Well, it caused everybody to have the ability to have so much money that we were buying so much stuff that it caused shortages in everything. We're still battling that after 2 years. Shortages in everything. And every week something new pops up that we're short. You still go to the grocery store and shelves are half empty. Why? Because they can't get stuff there as quickly because people are buying it up quicker than they can get it to us. Plus, you got people who have either died or are still sick or haven't gone back to work. I mean, there's a million and one reasons, but that's just part of it. So I think if we taught people to be a little more self-efficient, maybe fixed up some of these dilapidated homes and old businesses that could be functional again, and put people who need that to work in them and living in them, that would create better communities. If we taught people how to grow things and be a little more self-efficient with it, that would help slow down all the missing stuff in the grocery stores and whatnot, and give you a better quality of life, let you spend time with your family. And you know what you could do with some of that stuff that you grew in the garden? You could make a casserole. You could bake a cake. You could make a pie. And you know what you do with those? Not only could you and your family eat them, but you can invite your neighbor over to eat with you as well, or take them a pie, or show them how to grow something. It's contagious. That everything good, just like everything bad that's in our society, can be contagious. We just all have to catch it. We have to catch the good. If I could show my neighbor how to grow something or make a pumpkin pie, or I show you guys how to make a pumpkin pie, and then you teach 12 people how to make a pumpkin pie, and they teach 12 people, all of a sudden everybody's happy because they know how to make a pumpkin pie. When the pandemic started, everybody was making banana bread and sourdough. And the world was happy. Everybody was giving everybody sourdough and banana bread, and life was good until it wasn't. Why wasn't it? Well, because that's a whole different story. But it basically comes down to short attention spans, and getting bored and aggravated. So, that being said, remember to go to the doctor, no matter how old you are. It's important. At least regular checkups. If they tell you need to have something done, go have it done. Don't put it off. We want to keep you around for a lot longer, especially if you're over the age of 50. And let me know what you think about, what's your opinion on, government, and what can we do to help each other out. I'm trying to think of ways where we can just be self-efficient as a nation and not rely so much on a handful of guys who don't know us, who, let's be honest, don't really care about us in either direction, to take care of us. I would love to hear your comments on it. So, that being said, tomorrow for dinner, lasagna. We're going to have lasagna. We're going to make a lasagna together. New recipe, even though we have a recipe at Chris's that she usually makes. I'm going to make one for the first time myself with a new recipe. Thursday, we're going to bake, for sure. Probably going to be peanut butter cookies, but we're going to be doing a lot of cookies, so you may be seeing some extra videos out there. It's Christmas time, and I got to get on the ball. We got probably 6 to 8 different types of cookies, and we're going to make dozens of each of them. So you'll probably get to see a few of those also. But definitely peanut butter cookies on Thursday, potentially Buckeyes also. I think those are going to be the first 2 things we make. And then that should be it. But anyhow, I love you. I'm going to get back to making potatoes. Potatoes are done. I just got to whip up some eggs real quick. And then me and Chris are going to eat dinner. So, that being said, I love you. I love you very much. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. And make them something. Give them some knowledge. Bake them a pie. Show them how to bake a pie or casserole. Get to know your neighbors. Make sure nobody goes hungry. All right? We're all in this together. So until tomorrow for lasagna, I love you, and I'll see you then. All right?